Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Homeschool Moms. I'm Nickie.
And I'm Ashlee. If you're looking for real, raw, and relatable moms who talk all things homeschool and mom life,
you're in the right place. All right, so I have a fun little announcement. We got a reader.
Watcher.
We got a watcher request. We got a request to talk about or have a discussion about support within homeschool. So if there's a spouse that was not supportive in your homeschooling journey and they what changed their mind, what changed to where they ended up being supportive as they knew someone who was currently struggling with lack of support. And me and Ashlee didn't really have any experience with this as we have both very supportive spouses. We started asking around and see if anyone had a story for us. And I actually have a friend, so she's going to be our first guest.
Yay!
On our podcast in the coming weeks. Where we're gonna kind of not interview her, but just kind of have a conversation. Like, what did that look like? How did that go? How is it going? And we may have a couple other stories to throw in. If you have a story, let us know. Email us, contact us on Instagram. I'm at Nickie_blessed homeschool mess, and Ashlee is at
gathered and grounded _ Ashlee.
You should be able to just search that
Yeah.
and you'll find us.
Yeah.
Or we have that stuff, I believe, linked in our YouTube description.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have another topic for you, though. We want to talk about building independence and how we do that and incorporate that in our homeschool. As I find that this is kind of like an important topic, as you know, we all start out somewhere, and a lot of us have littles, and not even littles, but bigger kids. And at some point, if they were in public school, they would have more responsibility and things like that on their own, or more homework or more testing or grading that they'll be, they got to show up for, they got to do the work. And so I think this topic's important to kind of give you some of the ways that we build independence in our homeschool. So I have about 10 things. We don't have to do all of them. We'll keep an eye on the time here. But I figure we can both kind of discuss them from that way. So the first one I have is we both really encourage self-directed learning. We let them take, I don't know if you do, so I won't keep saying we, but occasionally you let them take the lead in exploring and choosing topics of interest that they want to learn about.
Yeah, no, I definitely lean more towards the independent side of it, whether it's choosing a topic that they want to research. And that's more about getting, I think, their buy-in too. I had to deal with my kids, look, school's not going away. So how can we make it enjoyable for you? And we did this, one of our first years was their first research project, where I was here, pick something. I think we were learning about ancient Egypt or something. And I was just pick anything. Pick any person you want. And they were both kind of what? How do I do that? What do you mean? And that's just kind of something you have to build on, because I think something that a lot of homeschool moms get stuck in is always telling their kids exactly what to do. And when you always do that, your kids don't know how to do something on their own. So starting with just little projects can really help with that. And they might not do it right. It might be frustrating.
Moving beyond the page actually kind of introduced that topic alone for us, because we did a research paper on the type of mouse, deer mouse, I think they had.
Deer mouse and the owl. Yeah.
And she had so much fun doing that. But it kind of sparked her interest to research other things at the time. So she was Googling all kinds of stuff. But it's opening their creativity in their brain to be curious. And we always want our kids to be curious. So I think encouraging the directed learning in that way is a huge benefit. The next thing I was going to say is time management.
Yeah.
If we help our kids develop schedules or for their homeschool activities or any like outdoor classes that they're doing outside of the home, like, and we're telling and teaching them how to prioritize them, set goals, how to manage their time effectively, will eventually instill that sense of responsibility to be able to build that independence there too.
Yeah. And that's something I hear a lot more about in when you start researching like middle school and high school curriculum, where they'll get their assignment on day one, but it's not like, okay, complete it today. It's like, you should be working on this over the week. And it's not like, do this day one, do
Yeah.
this day two. It's kind of like, here's everything that needs to get done, and you need to get it done over a week. And like, I've really been like thinking about that. I'm like, my kids are great when I hand them a daily checklist and do A, B, and C, but I don't know, like, what would they do if I handed them 20 tasks and said, you have all week to do this? Like, what would they do? Would they procrastinate? I think
Would
one of
they
my
do it
kids,
all at once?
I think
Like
one would do it
Mila?
all at once. Yes, Mila would do it all in one day, and then
So
Emma would
volunteer.
procrastinate for sure.
Yeah.
But like, just think, because that's how my job is. I mean, I don't have like, I mean, I do have like daily things, but it's pretty much like, you're responsible. This is what needs to get done, and you get it done in your, your time you manage. And I think that's a really important skill. And we can't always like teach them. They have to figure it out on their own, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, I think we need to give them some sort of stepping stone, right? Like we have to give them a baseline of, okay, what do we need to fulfill this project? Do we need to research X, Y, and Z? Do we need to gather materials? Do we, like, those steps have to kind of be taught, but like half taught, and then kind of give them like half the thing that they need to do, and then them have to figure it out too. But when I gave my kid a list of things not long ago where I'm like, here, this is all your stuff. You got a week to do it.
Yeah.
It sat there. She didn't do any of it because it was like she didn't know or have that knowledge to figure out how.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that just comes with being older, though. I think that's like a maturity skill. Like, I don't think a kindergartner could ever manage their time well. I think that's really like a skill, but that's, as we're talking about middle school and teenage years, that's how they're going to prepare for their first job. And we almost have to let them fail. Like, they're going to miss a deadline. They're not going to do something right. And they're going to have to feel that feeling of not getting something done on time.
So the other thing, number 3, I guess, would be to develop some sort of independent reading habit. To really create that habit of allowing your child to choose books that interest them no matter what they are, and let them read at their own pace when they want to, and kind of really promote their love for literature, and just it builds those independent learning skills, because if we handed them a book, it might be less difficult as time goes on if you start early enough and really let them choose and have that choice.
Yeah, I saw firsthand how I think much public schools fail building a love of reading, because it's such a task and requirement of reading, where Emma loved reading, but then 2 years into public school, she despised it. She would only read because she had to for school. And so it took us a year into homeschool, actually 2 years into homeschooling, where she didn't touch a book unless it was required. And just recently, because I think I read so much, her sister reads so much, she's now being like, oh, reading's not bad. It's actually entertaining if you're reading what you want to read. And so I know homeschool moms all love books, but sometimes I think you can't like push your kid to do it. You just kind of have to let them stumble across it and find that passion, or you could ruin reading for them. And that's like a really sad thing, to not like reading.
Yeah, and I think I kind of went down that same struggle bus, because I was like, all she wants to read is graphic novels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need to find a chapter book. You should be reading chapter books. And I really pushed for that.
Yeah.
Even though she really enjoyed these graphic novels. And I think part of that was my fault for just like pushing a little bit too much to read stuff that she wasn't really into or wanting to do, even though I knew she was perfectly capable of. Because that's still her first choice to pick from is a graphic novel. In the last several months, have backed off on that. And she's been picking them up a little bit more too, because I've not made it so much of a thing. Because she's my little reader. She loves to read, just like Mila. So
yeah. And you know how it is. Like we get sucked into like a genre or like a certain, and that's all you want to read. But then eventually you're like, okay, I'll branch out into this.
Right.
And I think that like I had the same hate with graphic novels. Like I'm like, this is not a book. I don't know what this is. But if that's that bridge to getting them to like pick up another book, then, you know, we kind of got to suck it up. Let them do it.
Exactly. So we kind of a little bit touched on this in another one, but another number 4 is problem solving opportunities. So if you always solve their problem, they're never going to figure it out. Just like if you always do their laundry and they leave your house not knowing how to do laundry, that's a problem because then it's going to follow them or it could follow them. Not saying everyone will be like that, but you need to give them opportunities to tackle challenges on their own. So whether that a math problem or a real life situation, like we have to be guiding them to think critically and letting them find solutions independently for it.
Yeah, I feel like I had to learn instead of when they would come to me for help, instead of just like, okay, here's the answer. Well, what did you do? Like, why can't you find the answer? Or like, you know, and like taking time, being patient. And you know, and then sometimes, especially as, you know, my kids get older, it's a little bit easier for me to say, you know what, I don't think you tried to do that problem. Like, I don't see your work. I think you need to go back and like retry it. And so it doesn't, I don't know if the word harsh, but like as they get older, yeah, I think we need to be like, no, that you didn't try. You're just, you know, trying to get me to give you the answer. So yeah,
well,
pushing
and I
back.
think the key word in that is patience.
Yes, we definitely need a lot of patience because it is so easy to just be like, oh, this is the answer and let's move on.
Yeah. Or even if you just like, okay, well, you know, try one more guess and then I'll tell you if you don't. Like, no, like let them build upon mistake after mistake after mistake because their brain is eventually going to land on some type of pattern to figure it out. And you can guide them. But it doesn't mean you have to solve it for them. And I had to learn that too. I had, you know, we just did that today where she got one of her problems wrong in math. And I'm like, no, not quite. Or even in language arts where you had to incorporate the, forget what it's called, but it's like where you have TION at the end of a word.
Oh, the suffix.
And you drop
suffix.
the T or the TE when you're adding TION. And it's literally written like that on the page for her. And I'm like, just read the directions. Just read the directions.
Right.
Nope, read them again. You forgot the little other part of it. Like I was literally wanting to just scream. Like,
Yeah.
drop the TE.
It says it right there.
Yeah, but like, nope, I just kept guiding her along because I knew she's not dumb and I know she knows how to do it. She was just struggling and having a moment. So it's like, no, we're gonna work through this because I know you know how to do it and you're gonna figure it out. So yeah, I definitely think that's a thing where you have to at one point when at what age, I don't know, but like we're in 3rd. So I'll use 3rd as an example. This is the year that I've really pushed that where I'm not just easily giving the answer away.
Right. Yep. No, and I think that is 3rd grade is like a huge kind of milestone for me because they are starting to push towards that independence. And then, I struggle sometimes where I'm giving Nico, of course, the answer right away. Mila, I'm still a little bit more like, it's okay. And then Emma, I'm like, no, go figure it out. And so she gets
Emma
pissed. She's like, you just helped them, no issue. And I'm like, girl, but I've already shared this too with her. Her and I kind of butt heads on me telling her she's wrong. And so I outsource it. Like, somebody else, please tell this girl she's wrong. So then we can like move past it. And that did help. That helped tremendously 2 years ago when we made all those changes. And that made her become independent because now she's, you know, independent of her grades. And, you know, is she passing her math test? And if she doesn't pass her test, what can she do to get it better? I can't take the test for her. So, you know.
So another big thing that I think helps build independence is integrating life skills. So this is what I feel like a lot of public school may lack.
Yep.
Because I didn't learn this stuff, but cooking, budgeting, organizing, that helps them build essential skills to where, we're doing the Evan Moore financial literacy packet. We were just learning how like it is to earn money at a job. Like those are not things I was ever taught. You just did it and you figured it out. Like, and I'm putting that little nugget in her head now, even though, she's still in 3rd grade and has many moons before she's going to have a job. But like the more you instill some of those life skills, the better your life's going to be and theirs.
Yeah, that is such an important thing, and it's not taught in public schools. And so we did the Moving Beyond the Page kind of like finance course last year, and it was talking about like saving and earning interest. And so this year, recently, Emma opened up her own bank account and got her own debit card. And her first question on her bank account was, well, what interest rate am I earning? And I almost dropped dead because I work in banking, right? And the person opening her account, they're like, what? I was like, she wants to know what she's earning on her money. And like, I wouldn't have ever known that until I was an adult.
Me neither.
So like, that was a really cool experience. She manages her own money now. And then she's also been cooking every Friday night. So every Friday night, she's been, it's amazing. She's been
Follow
making
Ashlee on Instagram because she makes your mouth water with all these pictures of what her kid is creating. Yeah.
But that is such a cool, like, surreal thing to watch her with no like help from me. Like, I'm just sitting there watching her follow a recipe and then she's like making good food. It's a weird feeling. Like, your kid could create something without you helping. It's pretty cool. I have faith she'll be all right in life. Like, she can make donuts. We're good.
Yeah, Molly just started like making stuff. Like, she's been making her scrambled eggs and grilled cheese and like stuff like that. So that's just fairly new for us, and there's probably things like the microwave she can do on her own. But like she was able to follow the recipe and like you didn't have to help. So that not only means that like she's excelling with her math and knowing how to read her math, and like all of those things are just incorporated in that. It's like it's a big deal. I mean, I was making hot dogs in the microwave at her age, or like ramen.
Yeah. I mean, I was cooking at a young age, but yeah, I don't know. It's just different.
So another thing was to set, all of this is going to kind of flow together, but set and review goals together. So like make those short-term, long-term goals and regularly review their progress, because the more that you review their progress, the more that's going to build on their confidence to want to do those things, accomplish those things, and have more that they want to add to it. And maybe even discussing strategies and how to accomplish some of those things. And it just kind of fosters or gives them a sense of like motivation and accountability.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to go back to like the whole grading thing. Like, I have conversations with Emma, and it's like, not that I want her to make a decision on like her future, if that's college or trade school. I don't, I'm not pushing that, but at the same time, I'm like, look, if you want to go to college, this isn't anywhere close of what math level you're going to be at. So you need to like get these skills down now, and like just kind of prepping her, like there's a lot more work ahead to get through. So like, this isn't the hardest part, like it's coming. So like, just keep going. I don't know. I'm big with, I think, to just like prioritizing things properly. So like, when we're talking about a school year coming off of like summer break, we have to sit down and be like, I need you guys to get back in focus mode. Like, it's not hang out all day, play video games all day. It's, back to chores and schools, and those come before fun, and kind of keeping them up on those priorities too, because we all, I think, sometimes want to be lazy, and especially in a homeschooling environment, it's very easy to like, because we're at home, there's nothing telling us what to do. Everything we do every day is purely because we as the homeschool moms are motivated and our kids are motivated to do it. And so keeping, I guess, all of us on our goals and motivated, and like, I want to get this done before we go on Christmas break, or I want to do this before this, I guess, is, I think, the conversations I have about goals.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a ton of conversations about goals because I suck at making them. I will say that some of the curriculum that we use seems to have a good job at pushing them to achieve better. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, for instance, when we use the language arts from the good and the beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
I know like timing they say is like awful and like we don't need to do it, but I love that they use that in their curriculum because it makes her strive
Mm-hmm.
for a better number on the time clock when I time her for those reading passages in the curriculum. So like
Mm-hmm.
as much as that's not a goal, she's always improves her time. And so it's just kind of like a scale to where she's finally able to see like her progress. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't grade. I don't have to grade. And so
Yeah.
I don't. And so there's not really any time for her to like see the progress like that.
Right.
Which is really, it's a big deal. And maybe when I
Mm-hmm.
start grading, we'll start setting more goals and we'll be able to see it on like a scale like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, we need to be way better at prioritizing chores, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not, I mean, I had to be like, it was like there was a rough period where like I just felt like I was the mean mom, where I'm like, nope, you got to do this. And it sucked. Like, I think my kids think I enjoy saying no. Like, I like being
oh, yeah.
mean. And it wasn't. It's definitely hard for me to say no. I know you'd rather go do that, but I just built it so much into them at such a young age to where now they just know. Like, I have to get this done. Even last week when Mila was going to have the call with Molly, because I was the reason we did school late that day. So I'm like, it's fine. Like, as soon as you're done with this assignment, like, you can call her. And Mila's like, no, I need to fold my laundry. And I was like, but that could wait till later. And she's like, no, I just need to get it done. And I'm like, okay. And like, that's great to me. I know it wasn't easy getting there and it wasn't fun and there was lots of tears on both ends, but those girls get their chores done and they don't ever complain about it. And so I don't even have to I used to have to schedule chores. I used to have to give them their checklist and say these are what it's done. We don't even have to do that anymore. It's like such a part of their routine. So
We'll
it's
have
not
them teach Molly. That'd be great.
I tell you, it was not fun. It was a rough couple years.
So another thing we can add, number 7, social interaction. Now we totally just had this conversation on another episode, but we talked a lot about a little, or not a lot about, but socialization and like, that getting your kids involved in homeschooling groups or clubs or co-ops, you're allowing your child to interact with peers of all
Mm-hmm.
ages for homeschooling. And it's really giving them social situations where they have to figure out. And then, if you don't do that, they're going to go out there and not know how to do a darn thing around a individual, because they're not put in the situations to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're only going to have so many of those social interactions within your family or within your household,
Mm-hmm.
where you're not going to get with just hanging out with another kid.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for homeschooling kids to be able to respect and listen to another adult. Not that I
Yeah.
think like another adult just automatically deserves respect from a kid, but I was at an event, we'll say, and there was another kid there and it was time to eat. And so I was just like, "Hey, like it's time to come in and eat." Like I think they needed to get out of the pool or something. And this kid looked me dead in the eyes and was like, "You're not my parent." And I was like, "Okay, I am not your parent." And so I just turned around and said, "Not my kid. I'm not going to yell at you or whatever." But it just like that. I think sometimes where if your kid's not exposed to just understanding like another parent or somebody's just not even like yelling at them, but just being like, "Hey, like you should probably do this." That could definitely be missed being very, and I don't want to use the word sheltered, but yeah, if you don't get your kids exposed to other adults except just mom, then you probably might have a situation you got to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. And as much as that is not always easy
Mm-hmm.
to do, because
Yeah.
a lot of the times that involves you planning
Mm-hmm.
it or you finding the friends for them and the groups and creating friendships with people so that your kids have those friendships with people. That's, we brush this off as this like, you gotta do it. This is like boom, 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 but like if you're an introvert or you're a person who doesn't have a lot of friends themselves. I mean, I even remember as a new mom feeling scared going out there and making other mom friends because, the judging, the whatever, like, are you going to vibe? Or if you don't vibe and kids vibe, like, how do you get along with people who have kids who get along, but you just really don't like the parent, or you're not getting along, or you're not friends, or you stop being friends. It's not an easy thing to navigate. Even though it's so crucial and important for our kids, it's a lot on our shoulders too.
Yeah, it's effort. It takes a lot of effort. That's probably the hardest thing about choosing to homeschool is taking on that responsibility. Yes, we complain about curriculum, but that's this whole social aspect and making sure that they're exposed to the right type of peers or the right environments for lessons. That is hard. I say it all the time. I'm thankful I have a mother-in-law that the day I decided homeschool, she's like, I got this part, you do that part. Because I'm not the most, I don't think I'm introverted, but I also don't get along a lot with other homeschool moms. I don't get along with people who are very like judgmental. And I do feel a lot of that from the homeschool mom community, especially when we talk about co-op groups, because a lot of them are religious based and it is very hard. They're very cliquey to just like be accepted in those. And, I don't hide my emotions or facial expressions well. So.
We don't hide our resting bitch face, you mean?
Yeah. So like I would be kicked out. I just know it because I don't play games with people. So
everyone I feel like that knows me, I can just look at them. And they know exactly how I'm feeling and like what's on my face. Like if I don't like someone, my friend Jane one time was like, you're doing it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't turn this face off. Like, it's just one of those things where like, it's so hard. And like the drama, the like, especially when you come from like it just being like you and your husband and maybe like one close friend, and then you're like, oh my God, some of these homeschool groups, they'll have like 100 people that attend some of the events or whatnot. And it's overwhelming. And, trying to find someone that you have like other than homeschooling and that you actually have similar interests with, it's a huge factor. But like, it's also like my child has had to go through the like awkward thing of like really liking a certain kid and wanting to like be BFFs. But me knowing the parent and not being a fan of them, or not even just being a fan of them, but like knowing their like home life and not wanting to have them over or her go over there. Like, there's always going to be someone that you're skeptical of, or there's someone that you don't have similar value, like family value. And so, or that they're going to go over there and learn like 10 swear words or something, like my kid knows them all, but I'm just saying, like as an example.
That you wouldn't do in your home that they're doing. And that's a hard thing. I mean, I struggle with that. I mean, I have some stories, but it's hard to find, I think, other parents that you trust. It's a trust thing that you trust your kid to be in their care, because they are. If you ever are with someone else's kid and that parent's not there, you're responsible. And it's almost like you have to have similar like styles, or it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, well, you made a point saying it was like effort. It's more than effort. It's time. I mean, it's just want. At the same time, like you have to want these things, and not just for the sake of yourself if you're looking for people, but like you have to want that for your kid and want and have them want that for themselves. Because I know people who just like their kids don't really care if they have any friends, and you want them to have friends. You want them to have environments where they can have these discussions. But if we put all of those things together, I mean, I have a couple other ones, but they're pretty much all along the same thing of, independent projects and, teaching decision-making skills and celebrating progress. Like, we can loop them all together.
Yeah.
But I think we have to remember that building independence is a gradual process. We're not going to hit home base like all in the same game. Like, it's just not how this one works. Like, it's not going to be overnight, and it has to be built. Like, we just gave you these steps. You have to build those stepping stones for your kids and be patient and provide the support that they need.
Oh, that's a great way to put it, is stepping stones. Because I feel like I don't want anybody to watch this video or this whatever episode and be like, okay, my kid has 0 independence. So like, we're going from 0 to 100. You're going to fail. You and your kid are going to completely fail. That's not how it is. And I hope I didn't make it seem like that, because it was, starting small with a checklist, starting small with one subject that they do independently. And then, those stepping stones, but then them still knowing that they always have your support. You're not throwing them to the wolves. You're still there. It's just they need to put some effort in too.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to know this isn't a quick process, and there's no good time or rhyme or reason when to start. It's whenever your kid is ready. When you start seeing them be curious and want to cook those meals, or want to be involved in planning your homeschool week, or picking a curriculum that maybe they do want to do independently. I mean, we're doing that right now with me working this job. I'm literally giving her some independent things, and she's taking that on and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And she's now doing a math program on an app. And she's loving that independence and like taking the quiz and like knowing what she got wrong and like being able to retake a question that she got wrong and learning from her mistake. So there's tons and tons of ways that you build independence for your kids. So slow your brain down for a second. We overloaded you with a lot right here. But just know that, like, it will happen as long as you're invested in your kid.
Yeah. You just got to be a little aware of it and put some effort in on both ends, and it will come.
Yeah. Well, I think we wrapped up this video then.
We are all good. We'll chat next time. Yeah. Bye, guys.
We want to hear from you. Your feedback is invaluable to us. So let us know your thoughts on today's episode. Share your topic suggestions or ask us any burning questions you may have. Your input shapes the direction of our podcast, and we're here to create content that resonates with you.
If you enjoy listening to homeschool stories, curriculum reviews, advice, struggles, and overall mom life, this podcast is for you. But so is our YouTube channels.
Don't forget to check out our individual channels. We share even more content, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at our lives. Thanks for listening.